Good evening. Thank you for your attendance here today. Imagine you're a kid, a student, already struggling in school. Your grades are slipping. You're missing school a lot. Things at home are not so great. Now imagine you're the same child walking into a classroom feeling no one understands them or what's going on with them in their life. Nobody knows that they're responsible for three other children in the family to get them to school on time and get their lunches packed. For thousands of students in Albuquerque, this is not hypothetical, it's a reality. Did you know that graduation rates for the class of 2025 were 76.8% last year in Albuquerque? Although this was a slight increase from previous years, National Department of Education reports APS as trailing behind the state's averages and the national average of 87%. Do you think rates like these are typical for other states? Let's compare. Nationally, fourth graders, their math, they read at proficient and perform at proficient levels. Their reading also. In New Mexico, 20% for math, and they lag behind in reading at 23%. Also, eighth graders, their math was at about 32% nationally, whereas in New Mexico here it was 14%. Reading, about 33%, and in New Mexico, 18%. What do you think the national graduation rate is? It's 87%. Now, what do you think New Mexico's graduation rate is? Well, that is at a 77.4%. Today, I wanted to talk to you about a solution that doesn't always get the attention that it deserves. Its correct label is peer support workers, specifically peer support workers for youth, family, and parents. How many of you have heard of these type of supporters for youths and families in UPS and APS? Well, APS started to bring peer mentors into middle schools and high schools in 2021. Albuquerque Public School District reports say that 21 schools in the Albuquerque area implemented these peer support programs and assisted 978 students. They helped them to uncover their thoughts on the difficulties they were having in school and with their grades. APS district reports also report that the programs these mentors provided, they contacted 40,000 community members, family members, and the services to enlist their help and efforts for the difficulties these students describe as their worst barriers. Let's take a look at those issues or barriers to understand what is going on. The Department of Education gives numbers that in Albuquerque alone are 1 in 4 students are at risk of not graduating or being late to graduation. These are not students who lack intelligence or potential. These are students who are facing real life barriers. Now, let's talk about these barriers. What do you think some of these barriers could be for these children? Right? Mental health issues or challenges with learning disability? Yep. Housing, poverty? That's right. Parent missing out of the home? All those are right. So let's look at this. If schools, they do the best that they can, but often they are underfinanced or understaffed, that means that the counselors there are stretched thin. Teachers find themselves managing larger classrooms than they once did before. So if the schools are struggling, then it's only natural that the students are suffering. Families become overwhelmed, moms and dads with problems of their own on different frontiers and issues of their own, they are faced with trying to understand school policies and procedures, systems that they expected would serve their children, but now their child is facing failure, and they ask them why. Frustration increases and communications break down within the family. Now, as a whole, the family is struggling as well. This is where peer support workers come in. They empower students by building rapport, offering hope, and helping with guidance. When a student speaks with a peer mentor, they're not speaking to an authority figure. They're speaking to somebody who has lived experience, much like themselves. They're able to offer students the means to stay motivated, build confidence, and develop routines. Basically, they help the student to navigate everyday challenges of stress and anxiety. They teach students how to advocate for themselves, hold themselves accountable, and strive for the education they rightfully deserve. They make them understand that they are entitled to their education and not to feel alone, showing that their positive efforts will produce lifelong results to a life that they choose to build for themselves, which means they are there to empower caregivers and parents to support their children in a much bigger way. Now, you might be wondering, why does this matter so much? Many of the biggest barriers for families like these are not just academic, they're human. And what I mean by this is that students just don't need textbooks and lectures. They need someone to check in on them when they don't show up for school. Someone who will help them manage their stress levels and anxieties. Someone who will remind them that their story can end so much sweeter. And in ways that they choose. It's what they want their lives to become. These same mentors who support the youth also provide parents and caregivers, or anyone who plays a role in the caregiving realms of these children. They often attend meetings with the family to help them learn how to advocate for the needs of their family and children and for themselves. They come alongside the family to help prepare and being able to ask the right questions, understand their rights, help them to build their confidence, and to address the needs of these families. These mentors work alongside not just with youth, but with their families, providing emotional support during tough times. They help families stay connected, turning confusion into clarity and isolation into connection. Parents often want to help, but feel at a loss. A peer mentor's presence can be a bridge. As a result, communication improves, closing the gap and leading to real solutions. Even more importantly, peer support is cost effective. In a system where funding continues to be limited, peer mentors can reach more students and families, requiring the same levels of resources as the traditional systems once supplied. What these support workers do is just as critical, if not more so. The providers in the past only produced failure for these families. It all comes down to this: fostering connections with families, keeping them united as a whole. It means meeting them where they are, not where the system perceives them to be. And ultimately, it's about shifting the focus from dropout rates to staying engaged and graduating. My aim here today was to show what barriers peer support workers can help you overcome. So let's recap. They help to bridge the child serving systems of New Mexico to the families and the children that need it, which means attendance increases, grades improve, graduation occurs on time, and they strengthen the family bonds as a whole unit. Positive achievements are gained, and students' realistic futures become possible. In turn, growing happy, healthy families that stay together. In closing, I'd like to leave you with this thought. We often ask how to fix education, but perhaps the better question is how can we support the people within the system? Thank you very much for listening. Have a great evening.